All right, welcome back to Out Loud. We're continuing our, I guess you could call it a slow walk through the letter of First John. We are now going to look at the last few verses of the third chapter. We'll be beginning with verse 18, and the chapter ends on verse 24. And we read there, "Little children, let's not love with words or speech, but with action and truth. This is how we will know that we belong to the truth and reassure our hearts in God's presence. Even if our hearts condemn us, God is greater than our hearts and knows all things. Dear friends, if your hearts don't condemn us, we have confidence in relationship to God. We receive whatever we ask from him because we keep his commandments and do what pleases him. This is his commandment, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love each other as he commanded us. The person who keeps his commandments remains in God, and God remains in him. And thus is how we know that he remains in us, because of the Spirit that he has given to us." So, this very first verse, "Little children, let's not love with words or speech, but with action and truth." It got me thinking about a phrase that's often used, especially in the public square where there's been some tragedy, but also in personal life. The phrase, "My thoughts and prayers are with you." Now, this phrase has become something that a bit of a target of anger and frustration and ridicule, because it's often used by those who some believe have a power to really take action, to really alleviate something that and prevent tragedies and other horrible circumstances. But instead of saying or doing something that feels meaningful, the response is, "My thoughts and prayers are with you." And I don't think that response, or that reaction to that response, is inappropriate. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe that Christians should never say that. What I believe about that phrase, "My thoughts and prayers are with you," is that something that we should use at the point at which we realize that we are incapable, that we don't have the resources, the imagination, the capacity to really take meaningful action that can change the dire circumstances that someone may be in, or that we can really change the harm that has been done to us. Only at that point of our admission that we are incapable of action in love that will have real meaning, should we say and fall back on the point that says, "My thoughts or prayers are with you." What we should mean by that is, "I'm so sorry. I would love to be able to do something that could really move your life, but I don't know what that is. I don't know how to do it. And so in my weakness, I will tell you that my thoughts and my prayers are with you." Never should thoughts and prayers be considered the adequate actions of a follower of God in Jesus Christ, but instead we act in love to make whatever changes we are capable of doing for someone. So on a different thought, later on it says, "Dear friends, if our hearts don't condemn us, we have confidence in relationship to God." Now, over and over again, the book of First John talks about keeping God's commandments, talks about living without sin. And again, we've said, the Bible is full of places that say we are incapable of living without sin, without error, to living a perfect life. But John Wesley offered some thoughts on this whole discussion. He talked about Christian perfection, which tends to throw people off because, well, we can't be perfect as Christians. We're not able to do that. And in most ways of understanding, that's true. But what John Wesley, the founder of Methodism, what he meant by that is that we can perfect ourselves in love, in that our hearts and minds, our intentions can be shaped and formed by a desire to act in love in every circumstance. And that is something that he believed we could accomplish in our life. In fact, in the United Methodist Church, anybody who is ordained a pastor in the United Methodist Church has to answer two questions. And one is, are you going on to perfection? And you are expected to say yes. And do you expect to reach that in this life? And you are also expected to say yes. That means there isn't an expectation that you would be perfect or without error, but that you would shape your heart entirely around love of God and love of neighbor. And as the passages previous to this had said, that you would remove hate from your heart, resentment from your heart, but everything you do would be intended to be an action of God's love in your life and the life of others. The last little piece I want to look at is from the 23rd verse, and it says, "This is his commandment, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love each other as he commanded us." This thing about believing in Jesus Christ is such an important piece of language in Christian thought and belief. And I often think that it needs to be understood more deeply than simply saying, I believe in the fact of this. I believe in the fact that there was a man, Jesus. I believe in a fact that this man, Jesus, died and was raised from the grave by God. I believe in the fact that Jesus was sent by God and was the Son of God. I can believe in all of those facts, but I don't believe that that's adequate to say that I believe, as it says here, in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ. In that I can believe in the fact that someone has built a bridge over a river, but if I'm not willing to walk on that bridge, if I'm not willing to step across that place where it would be treacherous for me and believe that the bridge is going to sustain me and help me cross over that river, then do I really have a belief in the river or just the fact of the river? In this thing, in this passage, as the author says, that this is his commandment, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and as a result, love each other as he commanded. That it's not enough to just say, I believe Jesus is the Son of God, now give me my eternal life. But we have to be willing to devote our life in following that command to love each other in order for us to truly and honestly say that in our hearts that we love and believe in Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Thanks for listening.